And that's why I don't have elbows.
You do.
This is Monday, November 26th. See, just floppy arms. I'm like part octopus. I'm a squidopus. Let's see. Things to cover for today. One, welcome back. We're done with poetry for the most part. If you have the handouts, you can just keep them somewhere safe. You can probably recycle them, but then if you need something, you'll have to buy a new one, so it's up to you. It depends on choices. We're going to start a new book this week called The Shadow Club, which you'll get your own copy of. If you're not done reading your book report book, you don't have to worry about Shadow Club reading until like Wednesday or Thursday, so you have a few more days. Tie game for the entire month of December, and then from moving forward, Christmas will not be your answer because I have a whole pile of ties that fit this month, so I had to be more specific. And your book report is due in 3 weeks for those of you who are trying to figure stuff out. Even if you're not done with your book, you can go ahead and begin the project. And you will have some time on Thursday, because we're going to the library for part of the class period. The other part of the class period, you can either work on getting reading done or working on your book report project. Other than that, I'm not giving any homework this week until Friday, and that'll be connected to the quiz that pops up next week, because we're going to have our first Shadow Club quiz next week, so we'll have homework that goes with that. And our bell work for today, agree to disagree. So these are all things that are going to pop up with our book. Try to see what your thinking is. One, I have enjoyed getting revenge on someone in the past. What our book Shadow Club is about, to give you a quick overview of it, it deals with a group of kids who have students that they think are bullies that are mean to them. So they decide to create a club that they are going to secretly get revenge on all these other kids in the school. But the way they do it is, let's say that Mason and I are in the club together. So that way I don't get caught. I go do a bad thing to Mason's bully, and then Mason does a bad thing to my bully. And the joy is then you can't come back and pin it on me because I have an alibi. So that way when a bad thing happens to my bully, because Mason does, and I'm like, I'm completely innocent because I was in this and everyone saw me. And so it becomes like this great little way of sneaking around, which is all fun and games until they try to kill somebody. Because you know how kids are. You're like, let's have a good time. Like, I was like, I'm going to stab somebody. Like, you went too far, but now we're all having fun. And so it all starts going downhill from there. Put it on the calendar. There you go. And so that's when the things all starts. The idea of revenge, and the problem with it was revenge. And then once you get revenge, then someone has to get revenge back, and it's all fun and games until you kill somebody. I'm sure it's all happened to you. Like, oh, Mr. Brovicast, that was 6th grade. See, I know what you're saying. 2, any kid that gets detention with the principal is a bad kid. One of the big things they're going to get into in the book is what defines making you a bad kid. Because the kids are going to keep saying, I'm not a bad person. And then they're going to do really awful things. And so it becomes down to, how do you define what makes a bad person? So that's what I'm going to talk about on that one, is in your definition, how do you define a bad person? 3, if you saw your bully getting beat up, would you do something to stop it, or would you just step back and cheer it on? 4, what do you qualify as bullying? Because that's part of the issue we're going to get into in here, is when these kids start doing awful things, what they qualify as being bullied, you might not think actually is bullying. So it's more the idea of what you qualify as bullying. And then 5, I would report my best friend for doing something majorly bad, no matter the consequences. Maybe not all the way to like killing a kid kind of level, but pretty bad levels. All right, so let's see where you're agreeing and disagreeing. Number 1, I've enjoyed getting revenge. Raise your hand if you agree.
I mean, justice. Yes.
Raise your hand if you disagree.
Disagree.
What?
Yeah, it's like agreeing, but it's the opposite. So it's like
Yeah,
oh, you're just judging? You can't judge people. They get the chance to do. Let's see. How many of you, let's back up. How many of you guys have never gotten revenge?
I haven't got like revenge.
All right, just checking.
Like,
How many of you guys have gotten revenge, but you did not enjoy it?
someone stole my pencil.
How many of you guys have gotten revenge, and you enjoyed it, but you regretted it later?
I didn't know.
All right, checking.
Oh wait.
How many of you guys have gotten revenge, and you have no regrets about what you did whatsoever? Just checking. Take pride in your answers. 2. So we can start talking about what makes a bad kid. Any kid that gets a detention with the principal is a bad kid, like the ones in the office. Raise your hand if you agree. Disagree.
No.
That's
my friend.
I got one last year and I didn't do anything.
Yeah, some of my friends. Oh yeah, I went to the. We both went to the.
3. I would intervene if I saw my bully getting beat up.
Yeah.
Agree?
I'll be like, hey, there's
come
pizza,
on, guys.
and then
Disagree.
take them away so I can eat them.
Alright.
You don't be friends with me.
Honestly,
He probably has no friends, so I'll probably be friends with him.
being up here and not
And he goes,
Yeah,
and then
After you stop, and then
invite you over
bully
and beat you up.
Exactly. We're like good friends.
And loudly announcing to the whole class that someone has ugly clothes is an example of bullying. Agree?
I keep it to myself.
I mean, that's kind of mean. You're just being mean for no reason.
Disagree?
You're being a
Not
jerk.
repeated.
I'll keep it to
Shut up.
myself.
And
Being a
five.
jerk, don't be true about it.
I would report my
You're
best
acting
friend for doing something majorly bad, whatever you qualify as majorly bad, no matter the consequences. Agree?
I'm sorry, Sam.
Oh!
That's my best
Disagree?
friend. I've never
No.
I've never
Would you
I've
rather
never tell
like,
me.
get them in trouble or keep your friends?
Or let's get like a small
If you feel so
Alright.
If you had a problem.
Apparently, we are already eager to begin the part where we get to start yelling at each other.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
Let's do our best to not lose a bunch of points starting off the week with our yelling at each other. But this is the stuff that's going to pop up. So I'm interested as we get into it. Well, one, the whole idea of revenge, we're going to come back to on that one because I'm not sure we have as much discussion there. But two, I am interested in because a lot of the book, as frightening as it's going to be, is about how do you qualify someone as a bad kid. So let's start with that question to you guys. In your words then, for those of you who did not raise your hand on that one, how do you qualify? Oh, let's back. Before we do that one, let me do this. Raise your hand if you say, I believe there is such a thing as a bad kid. Agree?
No.
And then raise your hand if you disagree, there's no such thing as a bad kid.
No, because I've met some
All right.
weird people.
Then let's go
Their
with,
parents.
for those of you who say there are bad kids, how do you qualify someone as a bad kid? Loud one?
So like, for me it's really hard because like you have to go to the extreme.
Okay.
So like, if you get like 1 or 2 detentions of like not doing your homework or like maybe talking back to the teacher, that's not really being a bad kid. Like some days, like you have off days, but like it was an everyday thing. Like if you go around and like pushing people and just like stabbing people, like slugs, I don't know, and it's like
So-
getting in trouble a lot.
Okay, well, a lot is a very vague number.
Getting in trouble every day by multiple teachers.
Okay.
So, like, you get
Well-
in trouble in first period and then you get in trouble in third period.
By that definition, then, do we have no bad kids at Fishers Junior High?
We have a bunch of.
No, we have a
I have a story.
I'm asking by your definition, then, because I don't think we have any kids that get in trouble every day with like
Well,
every
not
teacher.
like every day, but like most times they come to school. So say like on Monday they got
Hang
in
on.
trouble.
So by your definition, are there bad kids at Fishers Junior High?
yes.
Okay, that's what I was just going for. So I give you an idea. All right, Deja?
No, a bad kid is like what Cole said, you get in trouble every day and they just have like no good in their heart. And like some people
How can you tell there's no... So, what is my litmus test, my way of knowing that there's no good in a kid's heart? If someone's like, oh, that Clara, she's a bad kid, I'm like, how can I know that there's no good in her?
because they haven't done, I don't know, because they're just like not good. Some people say like cheating on a test is bad and like you go to the office. Like I don't think you should like label them as a bad kid
Okay.
after that because they're just like I feel like every kid
They
has
just
cheated
need
on a
some
test before. So and don't lie because I know you all have. So I'm just saying, like I've met this kid before. He went to it was this old other school. He was so bad. Like he would get in trouble every day. One time because my friend stayed after school because obviously I had to leave because of after school.
Obviously.
And he like because his mom was a teacher, so he stayed in the other teacher's room that was his teacher, and like he took because the teacher was like, I'm calling your mom or something, and my friend said everyone was telling me that he took the teacher's phone and threw it on the ground and stomped on it. I was just like, I wasn't surprised because he was just like.
So then, same question I asked Cole. Do we have bad kids at Fishers Junior High?
Yeah.
Yeah, some people.
Just checking. All right, Talia?
I think bad kid is somebody like who repetitively does things that harm themselves or somebody else.
Okay.
And like if like they get multiple chances but they still don't like change their like ways, I don't know. I think that's when you can like
All right.
label them as a bad kid, I guess.
Sam?
I think a bad kid. Of course they will make bad choices and all, but I feel like if they have a bad day, they'll do bad stuff. You know, you have a bad morning, or I still think if you do something like very big to someone else, or like you bully them, I think that'll count as like a bad kid. But you know, like they just said, I'm pretty sure everyone in this class can probably cheat on a test, so it doesn't make us bad kids. It just makes us have a bad
Normal.
choice.
Kids
Makes us
make bad
normal.
choices.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Ooh. Which is an interesting point to bring up. The whole bad choice versus bad kid.
Yeah, you shouldn't make them a bad kid. Their
Yeah.
whole like personality of bad
So,
kids because they made one.
There's no
But
such thing as
what
bad
point do bad choices make you a bad person?
Never.
When you don't make any good choices.
Never.
When you're a bully and you like bully others.
Never.
No, 'cause that needs to be the
If you keep doing that, then somebody just needs to go teach you a lesson.
Yeah,
Maddie.
like you just
Okay,
need
so
to
it's like
Needs
when
help.
it's like you make a bunch of bad choices, and then like somebody tries to fix it, and then you just keep making like more bad choices, but they're worse choices, and then you just like
Well, you just
stop
are-
making bad choices.
This is a lot of
You're just
vague answers.
No, but
You're
they're
just very
good. That is a good thing.
Alright.
No.
Eckenbeer?
Okay, so, there's things that you can be a bad adult, but you really can't be a bad kid. Because when you're a kid, that's like the time where
You're
you know,
learning.
you're learning and like you can change and like you can be a different person. And I think like if you have like parents that like, I wouldn't say like not abuse you, but like you don't live in the best home, or
Okay.
something like that, and based on that you have a bad mood. You're not a bad kid. It's just your surroundings are bad and you make bad choices because of that.
So by your definition, do we have bad kids at Fisher Junior High? So you see that there are no bad kids here.
I mean, bad kids that make bad. I mean, not bad kids, but like there's kids that make bad choices, but it's not like they're bad.
So at what point? So high school or 18?
Like 18.
College?
18, like when you can act. Like when you're a legal adult. Like,
Alright.
because
That is a very optimistic way of looking at things. You see the good and stuff. Mason?
I don't think like kids or adults could be bad. I think they just make bad choices.
No, there's some really bad people.
Bad choices not make you a bad person?
Yeah, I mean
So-
like if
so
you
other-
like go and
Right,
steal,
right,
that's
right.
just a bad choice. Or if you like shoot someone,
Ah.
that's just a bad choice. But like
So
you
like
can't
you're
really
6'9",
be bad.
big rapper.
Interesting. Alright, loud one.
Okay, so like on the bad kid thing, you could be a bad kid, but like, so say you make one mistake. Say like, you hit a kid because like he beat you in basketball or something like that. You just be like mad at him,
Or he beats you.
like for like frustrated, like for no reason. And then the next day, you go to another kid that you're playing with, and you're like, you like made me lose, and then you shove them, and then like if it's repeated, and then like how Ekamir said, there's really no bad kids, but there's bad parents. I think there can be bad parents and bad kids because some kids, like I don't think there might be one in this school, but it's not that big because some kids can have like a great home life and have really good parents, but they just choose to do bad things.
Be angry.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, that was the
there can be a bad parent but a good kid. So like if they they get abused at home or like the parents are absent in their life, they can still choose to be happy. So I feel like there is bad kids and bad parents.
Yes.
Well, probably they just have a good home life, but like their parents don't like, beat them up and all like that.
Which is an interesting way of looking at it, is the idea of how do you define a good home life also. Because part of what Marvin brings up is if you're not punished for doing bad things at your house, does that not also make it a bad home life? If you're allowed to just get away with doing anything you want, does that make a good home life? I mean, it's that same idea as like, yes, if your parents beat you every time you sneeze, that's probably too far. But if you're going around skipping school, failing grades, and beating up other kids, and your parents like, Aw, that's fine, baby doll. Is that being, I mean, so there's that idea of, those are two extremes, but the same ideas. Does that make a good, there's different ways of looking at bad home life, I guess. Last one, Sam, we want my next question.
I feel like Marvin, like if the parents don't care what you do, like oh you can fail all these grades or you can be mean to other kids, you know, of course you're gonna be like a bad kid or something. But like if they discipline you, if you like fail grades, they take your stuff away, or you can't go out with friends, I feel like that'll kind of help you turn into a good kid.
Discipline.
Or it'll make you
Discipline.
angry and you'll fire back.
They're going to take away your teenager card. You keep talking like that. It's almost like you want parents to like parent you or something like that. That's weird. It's like if they show me love and like discipline me, I become a better kid. Just don't ever tell my parents that. All right, we'll keep it on the down low. That's a good thing we're not recording. So now taking a look at, I want to see how you guys define bullying. So I'm going to jump down to number 4. So I think that's going to be another one. We're going to come back to them. I'm just...
I want to do number 5.
4.
Might be
Loudly announcing to the whole class that... Now, I know, we beat into you guys that it has to be repetitive to be bullied. So let's assuming that this is a thing that's been repeated.
Okay.
Every day they walk in and they say this. Now, they're not pushing you. I mean, they're just saying it in general. And so does that qualify, or where do you qualify it to be? Verb?
I say it's like verbal bullying
Okay.
because you're like saying it and it's hurting them in some way. Like it's hurting their feelings because you're saying their clothes are ugly and gross. And like if you say that, the whole class will probably look at you and they'll probably get embarrassed because you'll say you're like, my clothes are ugly.
Ooh, here's a question for you. So if a person is doing that, do you think they know that they're making the other person feel bad?
Probably yes.
Then does that make them a bad person?
Maybe.
Just seeing if we can tie our two things together. If you're doing that on purpose, does that make you a bad person in some way?
No.
All right, Young?
Yeah. You confuse me when you do that.
I know, it's fun for me.
You made me mad.
So, yeah, wait, I don't remember what I wrote.
We'll come back to you. Deja?
So I feel like if you're doing that, you're just being like a jerk, because bullying is when you're doing something over and over again. And obviously, like, I feel like he's like right kind of, but not about the bully part, because like you're still hurting someone's feelings, whether it's like depends on how the person takes it. I don't know.
Is there a difference between being a jerk and being a bully?
Yes.
Yes.
What is the difference?
Jerk, I feel like you're not repeating it. You're just maybe you like do it to a lot of people. You just don't do it to the same person over and over.
All right, so a jerk, you just have a bad personality.
Yeah.
And a bully is where you just focus that personality on one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Young?
Okay, I remember now. So it's like, yeah, it's like what Dave said, depending on how they take it. If they're fine with you saying that, then I mean, it's not really bullying because they don't really care. Because like bullying is like where they do it to make you feel bad, like to tear you down and make you feel bad by yourself. But if like they're not doing that, then they're really not bullying you.
So if they're not bothered by it, then it's fine. But they are bothered by it, then it's bullying.
Yeah.
All right. Adam?
It could be like ugly sweaters, so it could be like a joke.
Could be. I was saying if they're doing it repeatedly. If they're saying, like, let's say at least once a week they come in and say it.
Well, because they're wearing the same clothes.
That could be true, too. Maybe the kid wears the same outfit every day. Does that make a difference, too?
Yeah.
Because I have some kids that just really like certain sweatshirts and like that. My daughter wore like the same sweatshirt for a month. It drove me nuts. But kids, and so, I mean, does that make a difference then, too? Talia.
I think it depends on if the bully like knows it's hurting that person, because like if he thinks that like he's just joking around, but like the other person doesn't say anything, like you know how you're like supposed to tell the bully like stop.
Put the test on my desk.
Like the bully might not realize that maybe he should stop doing that, and like he might still like think that it's just a joke, and like that person gets it.
I guess that could be that difference between the jerk-bully thing, is that a jerk might think that that is funny, whereas other people don't find it as funny, and that's where you cross over from jerk to bully life. All right. Cole?
So like, I feel like sometimes it could be like, so say the kid that he said his clothes were ugly, was like wearing like really fancy stuff, but the guy just did it to make himself feel better. So I'm feeling like it's kind of really opinion based, because someone could think, wow, I really like his clothes and I feel like they're cool, and then another kid can think, wow, his clothes are ugly. But it's like, it depends how you see yourself. It kind of comes into like self-perspective. Because if you believe other people and like kind of go off of their opinion instead of your own and like your parents, then that could really change. Because if you go off of what one kid says and but like everyone else thinks, no, I like your clothes and they're fine, and you go off that one kid, that can change. But like, if you see yourself in a good way, then I feel like everything would change.
That self-confidence makes a difference? Yeah, it's a pretty powerful thing. Sam?
I feel like if it's over and over again, and like I feel like it'd be like mental and emotional, because mentally he might think that people make fun of his clothes and how he wears them, and then emotional because he's sad that people laugh at his clothes and stuff. So I feel like
Eckenbeer?
Like the person could be telling the dude that like his clothes are ugly because like, you know, some people like specific teams and like they feel like really strong about that. So like if someone has a sweatshirt of, let's say,
The Patriots, and
yeah,
you know, it's
they're
just
gonna be like,
ridiculous.
oh, you have a really ugly sweatshirt, and like
Alright.
they could take that.
Then I'm going to jump down to number 5 before we go back to 3, just to keep taunting Cole. But with 5, because that's going to be a big role, is that put it on the thing over there too, the year test. Thank you, Spencer. The idea of reporting a best friend, because that's one of the big choices that pops up in the story, is something happens and you find out that your best friend is responsible for, basically, in the book, it's going to be doing these bad pranks, if you will. But you find out they're responsible for a thing that basically gets another kid in a lot of trouble. Do you then come forward and get your friend in trouble with that choice? Green?
That's something that would depend on what they do.
How so?
I don't know what I would do.
Just very honest of you. So you're saying it just depends on the situation? It's probably the best way of answering that one. Mason?
I mean, like, I wouldn't do it if they're like cheating on a test, but like they have like a knife or like,
Okay.
like threatening.
So you're
people.
saying if it was to the level of
Like,
physically hurting another person,
yeah, but like cheating on a test or something.
everyone does that, so it's okay?
Yeah.
No, that was he was being sarcastic.
Thank you, Malachi, for picking up on that one. I was trying to
Yeah,
taunt
like
Deja.
not cheating on a final or anything.
Okay.
Well,
Like on a quiz.
yeah. Like if they just cheat on like a 10-question quiz.
Ooh, how about this one? We'll come up with a hypothetical one. They planted something that they stole on another kid, and that other kid got in trouble for it. So your friend ended up stealing something, and people are looking for it. So they put it in they have this other kid's locker who's never locked, and they put it in that kid's locker, and that kid's getting ready to get suspended and kicked out.
Yeah, I would
And you
tell
know that your friend stole it.
I would tell them in there.
Okay, so we'll do that one. I figure that's a pretty good hypothetical idea you find out. So that way it's not test cheating, which everyone does, but this is a thing that hopefully not everyone steals a thing and then plants the evidence on another person.
Unless it's like a super annoying.
Deja?
I feel like this had nothing to do with that, but I feel like, no, like your example.
Okay.
I feel like what Clara said was like good because like it depends on what you did. Because like this happened between my two friends last year, and like it was for like taking too much candy because like Miss Brooks would have like so much candy, and it was like Halloween candy, and like they took too much, and all she got was like recess detention because one of her friends like ratted her out. And after that, they were still friends. They were just not as close. So it depends on what you do. Because like if you do something really bad and you like go to jail, like obviously they don't want to talk to me. Like jail visits or something. You know?
Jail's pretty bad. I understand. I went in a couple times.
It's like-
Adam?
Well, that depends. Like, if you're cheating on the quiz, if your friend gives you answers to, then you won't cheat.
Interesting. Loud one?
So, like, in your example, if they were to plant it on someone, so, like, say they would take, like, something expensive, like a phone, or, like, an iPad, which costs money, and then, like, everything would have to happen, like, with the transactions and like that. I don't know what I would do, because I feel like I wouldn't tell, but I would at the same time. It'd kind of be, like, going back and forth. Because I wouldn't, because I didn't want my friend to think that I did it so they could, like, really get in trouble. Or I just did it to, like, So if it was a friend to friend, so like if my friend took his iPad, then I don't think I'll tell, like, so